central London. The BBC coverage of the story was absolutely slammed by the Board of Deputies of British Jews, who complained about the alleged reporting of an Islamophobic slur on the bus.
The board disputed that such a slur could be heard. A spokeswoman for the BBC has stated that the corporation will, quote, ensure that the complaints are fully responded to as swiftly as possible. The Culture Secretary Nadine Dorries has written to the broadcaster urging a satisfactory resolution.
Yes, indeed. Well, let's just speak now to Natasha Hausdorff, a barrister at Six Pump Court and legal director of UK Lawyers for Israel Charitable Trust. Welcome to the programme, Natasha. Thank you very, very much. Just explain to us the latest legal goings on. Last week, in fact, I think it was Friday actually, I did an opening monologue on this story. We guested it as well. We had someone from the Jewish Chronicle on, and a couple of other people as well. So what's the legal latest then?
Well, good morning, Patrick. UK Lawyers for Israel is a voluntary association of lawyers working to combat anti-Semitism and attacks on Israel, as in this case of the BBC's reporting. And the potential claim here concerns the BBC's breach of the Equality Act by discriminating on the grounds of religion or race. Now, there were unfortunately several serious issues with the reporting. The claim by the BBC that there were racial slurs about Muslims has been resoundingly debunked by every other organisation that has reviewed the footage. But it's seriously concerning that the claim of anti-Muslim racial slurs was reported as if it was undisputed fact, without any qualification whatsoever. And by contrast, the real abuse, which was anti-Semitic, was only reported as the subject of allegation. Now, the BBC has also reported that the incident was being looked at by the police in its entirety, which is an innuendo that an alleged anti-Muslim slur amounted to a criminal offence or in some way justified the anti-Semitic abuse. Now, sadly, this level of appalling bias at the BBC is nothing new, and it's well known that the corporation has spent tens of thousands of pounds suppressing the Bailyn report into bias with respect to the BBC's coverage on Israel. And we've also recently seen Lord Dyson's damning report about the cover-up culture at the BBC. There are some serious questions to answer here. And on top of this, there's the obfuscation and lack of transparency of the complaints procedure, which is simply meaningless. Those in the Jewish community have no confidence in the BBC's complaints process, or sadly in Ofcom, where appeals to Ofcom are to a content board where 10 out of the 14 members are former BBC staff. And in fact, the BBC's failure to take the steps requested of it by lawyers associated with UKLFI in relation to the reporting of this incident suggests that it is banking on there being no proper investigation of its conduct in relation to this report.
As well, I mean, you hit rightly on the nail on the head there when you said about them saying, oh, allegedly this bunch of anti-Semitic attack. Well, I mean, there's nothing allegedly about a Nazi salute, which is clearly visible in one of those clips, for example. But, yeah, so what could actually happen to the BBC now? What could happen if these legal complaints kind of come off?
Well, if the steps requested of the BBC aren't carried out, and that is an investigation by a senior individual at the corporation, and if indeed it is found as a result of that investigation that the BBC was wrong to unreservedly apologise and compensate those affected, then there could well be a claim arising out of it, as I indicated, for the breach. But I think this needs to be viewed very much in the context of the overall impression that the Jewish community have of the BBC's bias. Now, you mentioned the Nazi salutes that had been reported as part of this attack. The other element of the attack are a metal basket being lobbed onto the top deck, which was uncovered of this bus, which miraculously didn't land on any of the individuals that were there. Chants of Free Palestine from the racist abusers on the street, and indeed the playing of songs that have been identified as belonging to the terrorist organisation Hamas. So you have here the conflagration of intense anti-Israel sentiment and anti-Semitism masquerading in that form.
thank you very much for bringing us an update on this anti-Semitism scandal at the BBC. Natasha Hausdorff, a barrister at Six Pump Court and legal director of UK Lawyers for Israel Charitable Trust. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Interesting, though, isn't it? They said that they are banking on there not being a particularly proper BBC investigation, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, well, in other news, friends and relatives of online daters are being urged to help protect them from romantic frauds, as the period from Christmas to Valentine's Day is the most dangerous for falling into